Howdy, pals. Welcome back to another round of the Pool Box Pals podcast. I am your host, Monk. Along with me is Mad, who can never make it through one of my intros without laughing.
Is it me that never makes it through yours, or you who never make it through mine?
I think maybe it's just a both
I think
thing.
it depends on the day.
It sure does, buddy. But it is very nice to see you. Every time we get together to do this, it feels like forever since the last time we did it.
Yeah,
I don't know about
For some reason, there's like a long stretch between Wednesdays, but it seems like Thursday through Tuesday goes really fast. But the distance between Wednesdays seems longer. I don't really know how that works. Time's weird, man.
It sure is. This is definitely like the hump of my hump day. You know, like this, like past this, kind of the rest of the week is just downhill until the weekend. You know.
Yeah, not me.
I mean, yeah, you're on all times. You got stuff going at all, firing 24/7. But
yeah, I'm firing on all cylinders,
24/7,
all day, every week.
You sound really thrilled.
It never stops.
This is the difference between a man who has children who was probably out trick-or-treating late last night.
Oh heck yeah!
Versus the man who just kind of hung out at home and
actually
ate some candy.
We aren't like super late, surprisingly, but so we have so in our town there's like downtown trick-or-treating where all the businesses open up and give out candy, and like that takes place from like 2 to 5. And so we did that at our shop, and the kids came down and like helped out, and they also ran around and got candy. And then my son went with his friends to one neighborhood and hung out with them all night, and didn't pick him up till like pretty late, but it was just like, it's Halloween, stay out, like have fun, but like you do have a time that we're gonna come get you. And so that happened. And then we took our daughter to a different neighborhood where typically like that's where they hand out all the good candy, and it didn't seem like that this year. It was just like all the basic well, just like this neighborhood used to hand out like you know, there was houses that would hand out like a full size like Butterfinger or Snickers or something like that.
See, this is the full size candy bar thing seems like such a myth to me, because I don't remember ever getting that. And when I was a kid,
I never got that as a kid.
Yeah, I don't. My mom would take me to like the nicer neighborhood, and I don't know if she did that intentionally. Now that like I'm older, I kind of realize that, because we never really hung out in that town outside of like Halloween, and like the friends that we saw on that, we only really ever saw around Halloween. Yeah, so I wonder if I'll have to ask my mom next time I see her if she was like intentionally like going to the nicer neighborhoods to try to get, because it wasn't the town that we lived in. It was like maybe one of the closer towns. You know how like these small like backwood like country towns are. It's like there's like 4 in a cluster, and then there's nothing around. It's like, why don't you spread out a little bit? Anyways, I literally drive through 4 towns in the 20 minutes it takes me to get to my mom's house. It's it's insane.
Yeah. So you're like in because like in every town around there is like somethingville.
That's exactly what it is, or field, or or whatever, just some random. Yeah, well, the town I live in is Pottsville, so yeah, you're 100% right. So
collectively, it's just like Podunkville.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, it's a little bit. Well, I don't know. Podunk's a little bit more south of here. We're a different kind of something else. Because when I think of Podunk, I think of horse and buggies, and we have horse and buggies here on the road, and they're terrifying because you don't want to like run them over, and like you don't really know that they're there, and the roads are really windy because they live in like a hilly area. So like the roads
Yeah.
kind of go like this and they twist and turn a lot, and then you just go around the turn, and like there's a horse and buggy, and then usually like on the back there's like little kids staring at you, and you just kind of feel guilty. You're just like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you'll never, like, they just look at you like a zoo. Like, and I guess it's
Well,
just like the
the
same like exchange of just like, oh wow, what a strange world.
is that just because of like all the Amish community
Mhm.
around?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Mennonites.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah,
come
we
to
I mean
Lancaster County, you'll see them all the time. That's
I
not where
mean
I live.
growing up in my town of Nampa, Idaho, when I was a kid, I remember people still being able to like ride their horse into town. I don't know if that's still a thing because where I grew up isn't where I grew up anymore. Like
Hmm.
Californians took over.
Oh dang.
So,
But yeah, I mean that would be pretty cool to just, I mean, I could probably do that in my town. There are some places that have like the like thing out front, but it's like obviously nobody uses it. It's just more of like a relic of a bygone era. Error?
yeah.
Error.
Era.
E-
Era.
Era. Like the
Era.
Taylor Swift tour.
Yes.
But before we go
The
down that
eras.
rabbit hole, uh were you able to make it to your comic shop today, bud, knowing
I
that you
did.
were able to?
Yeah, just in the nick of time. I mean, I got back from there about, I mean, maybe an hour ago is when I got home from the shop. So I
Oh
made it.
man.
I usually get there like right when they open. Um,
Oh,
but today I couldn't because I was
are you
waiting
like
for a
standing outside?
couch delivery.
A couch
Yeah,
delivery.
I'm always standing outside looking in like a dog wanting back inside whenever I get
Is
there before
is
they
it
open and just stand at the door like, let me
now
in.
are the comics, like, the new comics are on the shelf, you're not, like, racing the guy like, as he's putting them out, you're taking them off?
No, sometimes I do get there before they put them out on the shelf and they still just have like the stack sitting out. And so I'll have to like finger through that. And they're always like,
Yeah.
please be careful. I'm like, I know, I'm going to be real careful with these. You should see my collection. It's very
You
nice
take
and tidy.
it's 'cause you're a good comic book boy.
I
No,
try
we
to
haven't
be
done that. That was something that's a callback to the, I feel like an earlier time in the Pool Box Pals where we would call each other, good
a
comic
good
book
comic book
boys.
boy. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. I love reminiscing about, probably about a year ago.
About the old days
The
back in the
old
day,
the olden times. Um, but yeah, what did you
71 episodes ago.
yeah. Wow, 72. We're, I was gonna say at
we're
retiring
getting up.
age, but I
We're
guess
getting, we're getting
we've
up
already
there, man.
we done it. Um, and then this is it. So good night,
Yeah.
everybody. Goodbye. Just kidding.
Goodbye.
What you get,
But
buddy?
yeah, I made it there. Well, this I'm actually kind of excited about this because I really like the TV series on Disney Plus. But
Hmm.
this is like the first full team appearance of the Bad Batch in a comic.
Ah.
So it's a Star Wars Hyperspace Stories number 10.
I'm a little embarrassed because I saw that sitting on the shelf and I was like, "Oh, that's kind of cool," but these just all look like generic stormtroopers. But I really like the Bad Batch. That's a good show.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, I
I
just didn't
really
look
like the
close
Bad
enough.
Batch a lot.
I never
And then
finished
I
the
got,
second season.
oh, you should.
Yeah,
It's really good. I mean, I think it's
put it
just
on
too
right now.
because it carries like the vibes of the Clone Wars.
Mm,
Um, and it's just, to me, it's a very solid show, and
I agree from
I
everything that
enjoy
I
it.
saw.
And then I got Sacrificers number 4 here. This is a very blue cover. Yeah, blue's my favorite color, so I dig it.
There you go. Worked out just perfect.
This one, I got it because it's AWA, and it's called Red Light.
Yeah, okay. I saw this. It kind of gave me Hit Me vibes, and Hit Me was a comic that was about like a
Yeah,
dominatrix who was also an assassin, I believe, or something like that. And I just felt like it was a little too over. It was just a little too much for me. And a
yeah.
little like
It might
aggressively in your face about it. And that's kind of the vibes I got from that. And I was like, but let me know
it,
because I wouldn't be
yeah.
opposed to getting it if it's good.
I'll let you know because I really do like the stuff AWA puts out, but this one it does look over the top. From what I understand about it, it's red light, so like red light district,
Yeah.
and like the ladies in the red light, they're like cyborg type, or
Okay.
like they're not, actually I should say they're not cyborg because cyborgs are like humans blended with robotics.
Right.
I think that they're just like full on robots.
Yeah.
So we'll
Uh,
see. I may not, if it is a little too heavy in that, I don't know, that area, I might not keep going with it.
Understood.
This I'm pretty excited about. I'm wondering if you
Oh,
picked it up.
I bet I didn't.
Well, you might have. It's the cover's very yellow.
Oh.
It's about a boy and his imaginary friend called the
Oh.
Nasty, number
Oh
4.
yeah, I did. Yeah, that's weird because the first comic on my pile is yellow. I have a different cover. I really
Nice.
like this cover. They're going grocery shopping for
Supplies.
humans, like heads, like there's like bodies that have been squished into like little like meat packages that you get at the supermarket. I like it.
Yeah.
I'm so happy that this comic is out.
Yeah, no, I'm very much looking forward to diving into that one.
Y-
Also,
Wait, hold on
I
before
would.
you go. You have in the notes here that the last issue came out on June 14th. So it has been a hot minute since
Oh
he,
yeah,
wow, you
I don't even have my I have the notes up, but I was scrolled all the way down because I was doing
wow.
some edits while the intro song was going on. But
Mm,
yeah, last issue came out June 14th, so it's been a minute since yeah, issue 3 to issue 4. But the story is pretty solid. I don't really think I need to go back and reread
no.
them. Um, but this one was a delayed release. It was supposed to come out about 2 weeks ago, and I got pushed to today. But Midnight Western Theater #2.
Look how beautiful that cover looks.
I love that this cover is so good. Yours just looks so much shinier than mine.
Oh, I was thinking that yours looked better than mine. Wow, this is I think
Is yours kind of glossy?
no, I mean maybe it's just the lighting. It
Maybe
might
it's
be
just
the
the
lighting.
lighting.
Yeah. But I mean, I feel bad because I feel like we didn't I feel like we could have done a better job on the interview that we did with Lewis about this and just hyping up
Mm,
this issue because it was a great issue. I'm gonna
it
treat
was,
myself to reading it
and
again.
it's my bad because I, for some reason, didn't see the link for it
Oh,
in the email he sent, and that's why I didn't get it. And so I thought he was just sending as issue 1, and I didn't read through the message in detail, and so that's all on me. And so apologies to Lewis for not being ready for that, but it
I
is a
wasn't
great
trying.
issue. I will probably get back on it as well and reread it,
Yeah.
just
I
because I know the one that he sent us was also kind of like the editor's
Yeah, the
version.
editor's
So
proof. Yeah, I wasn't trying to throw you under the bus, just genuinely, I was like, I feel like as someone who did read it, could have been more like, "This is awesome, make sure you go out and read it." So, for everyone listening, whether you're listening now live or in the playback, make sure you're on this. And again, like, I feel like it's redundant for us because we've just been always being like, "This is the best one of the best comics out there," you know?
yeah, and also yeah, having Lewis on was super fun. He was a
Yeah,
great person to have on. I really enjoyed him. I hope he comes back again someday.
I
Maybe
believe he
for a new
will.
series that he releases. I
I think he
got
would just
two.
come back for fun because he told me
Yeah,
that he would, so I'm holding him to
yeah,
that.
sweet. I got 3 more here. I got Heat Seeker from the Gun Honey series. So this is the spin-off of Gun Honey, and it follows another character that's in there. I've
Nice.
been enjoying that one. And I got 2 number ones here. This one's from a Blaze. I can't remember the last time I picked up an Ablaze, and I peeked ahead, and I'm also picking up an Ablaze next week as well. But this one's called Almost Dead.
And I almost didn't
Oh,
get it, but then I got
yeah,
it.
but you
And
did.
I think this is the one I opened it up and I noticed that there wasn't a lot of text. And so I was like, I'll take this. There's a lot of space in between text, and that makes me happy.
Ooh,
So yeah,
yeah. I haven't looked through it yet, but
I feel like a Blaze doesn't, I don't see stuff from them that often. It doesn't come across
yeah,
my desk. So it is nice to pick up something from them. And yeah,
yeah,
it's nice to get I don't feel like you and I do like a any sort of like we don't how do you say this? We do have like our favorites that we like to get from, but we're not like gonna not get something because of its publisher, you know?
right,
I mean, maybe Marvel and DC, but I feel like that's just a different that's because it's too big, you know? Um,
yeah,
yeah, but it's not because we're opposed to those things. It's just we don't want to dip into that world so much. But it is nice that you and I are like, it doesn't care what's on here, we'll read it if it's cool and compelling.
yeah. And last but not least, I got another Scout comic here called. It's from their Terror line called "A
Mm,
Haunting on Mars."
I saw
There
this.
we go. Yeah.
I
Um,
I really like that cover because it is
yeah.
very reminiscent of the olden day covers.
Yeah. I'm like kind of ready to like hop into that one immediately. It just
Mhm.
looks super cool. And just, we're kind of getting out of spooky season. So I'd like to, ride the coattails of spooky season as much as I can before it's like, man, it's Christmas. Why am I reading a horror comic? But,
Yeah,
horror comics come out every month, but it just
right.
feels nice to read them in the spooky season.
Yeah, I mean, you're
Uh,
gonna have to let me know what you think. This is at my shop, and I was debating about getting it, but yeah, you'll have to let me know. I don't think I got any scout this week. We'll check.
yeah, yeah, I got two scouts, I think.
You
Yeah.
did, yeah. Oh, I
Haunting
guess
on
Midnight
Mars
Western Theater.
and Mid.
Duh,
Yeah.
duh.
But yeah, that's all I picked up this week. What'd you get? Did you make it to your shop? Well, of course you did, because you've already shown a couple. So what else did you get?
Uh, I got a decent amount this week. I got one, two, three, four. Yeah, seven, seven, seven. This first comic I believe came out last week, but I didn't get it. It's called Slow Burn, and it just
Ah,
looks like one of them good old boom books. There's a young female holding like a bloody backpack and a gun and like a spooky house in the silhouette. And so this is like it is just like classic. I'm pretty sure we would have seen like this art done somewhere else because it looks very familiar. But again, this just is like so boom feeling, you know?
yeah.
Yeah. So
And
I'm
as
in.
Ray likes to say, boom, boom, boom.
That's right. Boom, boom, boom. It is definitely, something that I'm probably, like, similar to you with, the Haunting of Mars, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Um, I'll probably just dive into this pretty quick because it is still spooky season a little bit. I guess we didn't even say happy Halloween, a day late,
Happy
but
Halloween.
happy Halloween. Yeah, so Slow Burn. This one I was super interested in. I feel like you're gonna love this cover, because
Probably.
it just feels like super
Ooh.
reminiscent of like old
Ooh.
VHS, like old VHSs of like the the
That and just like some of the old like classic illustrated covers from like the early Silver Age era. Like
mhm.
that. I like
Yeah,
that.
and so this is another Boom one. It's I think said it was called The Space Between, but this one is super word heavy. Look at that.
Oh,
That doesn't need to have
a
that many
lot of
dialogue.
bubbles. That's a
That's
that's a
that's
lot of
so many
bubbles.
bubbles. So I'm gonna have to be in a good mood to get through this. Yeah, and it doesn't seem to stop. That's such a turn off. Like that just looks like to me, I like again, I haven't read this comic and I like everything about it seems appealing to me, besides the fact that like if you look at this, it just looks like it almost intentionally like the art is trying to be bubbly because there's so many bubbles on the page, you know?
Maybe it was just a bubbly team.
Maybe
You
it's
know,
just that's it. They were drinking a lot of seltzer water.
a little bubbly.
Yeah, a little bit of bubbly. Which I have every day for lunch, which makes me feel like this is my first ever real like blue collar white collar job that I've had as a manager. I still like clean
Uh,
toilets and stuff, so I feel like my collars are like white and blue. Um, but I
got like
buy
a blue stripe on your white collar.
that's right. I uh I buy myself a bubbly at work and I'm like, this is the most like I've made it
Is
as a
it is it the bubbly brand of seltzer water?
I think it is. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm
I
just
like
sitting
bubbly.
there just being like, "Oh, wow. This is so carbonated, but it's not a soda, so I'm not getting fat." Just those like fun little stupid tricks you play on yourself.
0 calories and flavor. Yum.
Yum. So as I was checking out today, I only had those 5 that I mentioned before, but then my comic book guy was like, Vault just randomly sent him a package of Unnatural Order for free, and just so they sent it to him for free, and he was like, "I'm just gonna give these out for free." Then he's like, "I'm not gonna try to make a profit off of something that they sent me for free," and so he
Yeah.
just gave me a copy of it, which that's really cool. But on like honestly, this is my first time cracking it open, but it seems really cool. It seems like a sci like not a sci-fi like a fantasy world tale thing. There was some like somebody was on fire on another page. There's like a big fire demon.
Ooh.
Yeah. So I'm all about this. Got it for free, and the craziest thing on the back is that it's $5. It's $4.99. Yeah, unnatural order. So
$5 comics, man.
yeah. So this next one I'm pretty stoked on because it was the same thing. He was giving it away for free, and I don't know. This one seems like it is a free comic, but it's from the Center of Cartoon Studies, and with Stark County Mental Health and Addiction Recovery. It's this comic called "Let's Talk About It," a graphic guide to mental health.
Oh,
Yeah. Sorry, I
that's
smacked
interesting.
them. It is. So it's like just like I guess people talking about whatever, just fun little
Yeah.
illustrated uh yeah. I mean, so what about addiction? All that kind of fun stuff. Um
I like the art in that.
yeah. And it's super important. I'm somebody who
Yeah.
struggles with like mental health issues and should definitely be in therapy, but isn't, and
Mhm.
so I would love to have like things that could help me, outside of that.
Yeah.
So,
No, I think it's super important too. I just got back into counseling.
oh, there you go.
And I don't know. I don't know why I took such well, I know why I took such a long break from it, but it wasn't necessarily that I wanted to. But no, I'm a big supporter of it and anybody who does it. I like when I first started doing counseling, I was kind of like ashamed of it
Hmm.
and I wouldn't like really talk about it, but it's not something to be like looked down upon. Like anybody who's in counseling knows how beneficial it is, and
Yeah.
it is very, very helpful. It helps you get because like for me, it really helps me kind of create, I don't know, positive ticks in a way where it's
Hmm.
like like when I'm like getting into a negative mindset, I have like phrases that I like learn, like I've been able to like use as tools through counseling to like get myself ramped up and ready and happy again. So
Yeah. That's great,
yeah,
man. There's nothing wrong with like, and again, like I think a lot of people think for counseling and stuff that you have to be like at a really rock bottom place in life, but it's like that's not true. Everyone
no,
needs like just need people to talk to. That's
yeah,
what's ultimately is important. And what is
you need that third party that's not associated with your social life.
yeah. And just is like their job to intentionally listen and like give you advice and be educated in things of such
Yeah.
nature. Um, but speaking of people that would probably definitely need to speak to a counselor of some sort or something like that, do you
Mhm.
want to dive into the fun world of what's the furthest place from here?
Oh yeah, they could all use a little bit of counseling.
Yeah. I mean, uh, it so we are 15 issues into this thing, and what is
Yeah.
so wild, I think if you would have asked like me and you what is this comic about, like at the beginning when we first started reading this, I think we both would have been like it's just kind of post-apocalypse, and they kind of just it's about them surviving this weird like terror world or whatever. But the reality
Yeah.
is like there seems to be like some supernatural stuff at foot,
Yeah.
and there's like a mixture between like people pretending to be supernatural, people actually being supernatural. Now we're kind of getting like diseases that are being introduced to the characters that deform them.
Yeah. Well, because you're like, yeah. Okay, so let me give the pub sum here of this issue, but this
Sub
issue is
sub
called
pum it up for us.
it's called "Where's the Dog?" and it
Oh,
has Proofrock, Mallory, and Meryl find out just how far you have to run to get away from your old problems. They also found out how easy it is to get new problems, but at least they got a dog.
that is always nice.
Yeah, but yeah, so like Proofrock has something going on with him that actually makes me think of are they called, the elders?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, like because there was that one panel where I won't say what it was, but he doesn't want his shirt lifted up, and
Hmm.
uh and it kind of like reveals it in the panel like what's going on under his shirt, and it just made me think like, oh, is he turning into like one of the elders, like because all the elders are like deformed
Yeah,
and like have extra eyes and noses and real like then just look super creepy. And so I wonder if like he's becoming one of them
yeah.
because what he got stabbed by um
See, that's the thing is I can't really remember where this came from.
Yeah.
We've talked about this before. This is like for us, like we rated this last year as like one of our favorite comics. Um, and but I think a criticism that we both agree with is like there's so much happening in this comic.
Yeah.
It's starting to dwindle out a little bit now, but so much of what is happening now is dependent upon what it has happened before. And so
Well,
you kind of
especially like with like the first arc. Like the first arc
and just
was
people's relationships, and,
yeah,
like, just being like, "Okay, so these people who" and there's a lot of people who haven't seen each other for a long time, and you're like, "What is I can't remember where you were at, like, the last time you actually saw each other, what however many issues ago," and it probably wasn't the first arc because there wasn't a lot of crossover in the second arc at all,
yeah.
and just a lot of
Um
episodes that or issues that were set in the past. I
Well, and
again
also it's just like the reading order's a little bit like wonky too because like volume 2 doesn't have issues 7, 8, and 9 in it. They're going to
Mhm.
be in their own volume, I'm assuming, with some other issues that either haven't come out yet or maybe they are just going to be in their own volume. But yeah, so if you
Yes.
go pick up volume 1, you get issues 1 through 6, I believe, and then if you go get volume 2, you get issues 10 through 13.
Yeah, we had talked about this, and that's weird, and I it's kind of bums me out because I do love like how my what's the farthest place from what's the farthest place from here volume 1 trade paperback is probably one of my favorite ones because of how good it feels because it's bulky and just the paper that's used. So I was really looking forward to getting another one of those. But it just seems like it's probably going to be like half of that. But anyways,
Yeah.
what did you think of it? What like I enjoyed it's just continues to be good for me, you know?
I yeah,
It's
no,
a trustworthy comic.
yeah, I think we kind of were steering in a direction of like, oh, we're starting not to like this, but I don't think that that's the case. Like this story is great. If you look in the back of the issue, I think like Scott Snyder might be quoted in there and somebody else,
Oh
both just
wow.
saying like this feels like the future of comics. Like this is the direction comics should be going.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh look at
and
no,
it
it's
is.
James Tinney in the fourth, and it says this
Uh,
feels like the future of comics should feel like.
yeah.
This feels like what the future of comics should feel like. Yeah. I mean I
Wasn't
100%
there?
agree.
I thought there was two quotes
There
back
is a
there.
second quote. It's the kind of comic that gives me hope in the future of the medium. Rick Remender.
Oh, okay. It was
Yeah.
Rick. Okay.
Yep.
Not yeah. Um, but yeah, this story was just super fun. I love that it's called Where's the Dog because like I didn't know that's what it was called when I started reading it. It may
I
have
didn't
said it in
either.
the beginning and I just breezed over it. But like is it Meryl who's the one who is pregnant?
Sure. I can
We'll go
never
we'll go
remember. It's so hard with this one because there was so
or
many
no,
of them.
Meryl's the part of the trio of Proof Rock, Mallory, and Meryl. And I think Meryl might be like he used to be part of the pigs, like the pig family.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, yeah, that's you're right. I can't
but
remember
yeah,
the name.
I can't remember the name of the gal who was like pregnant. But like she had a dog with her for um, a few issues back. And
Mhm.
so all of a sudden, this dog is with Proof Rock, Mallory, and Meryl, and like it turned out that like the dog was actually kind of leading them to um,
Mm.
what's her face. And so it did bring this cool like reunion moment to the story.
Yeah.
Uh, but like something that each issue does really well, it's just like it ends with just like, oh my gosh, what's gonna happen next week? You know, like
Yeah.
what like I just always feel like I'm on the edge of my seat when I put these down where I'm just like, man, like I want the next one now.
Yeah.
Um, and
And
then I
it's tough
also
to like I'm bummed that it's gonna end. Like,
yeah, and
knowing
I
that it will have an end date, that's like we still have a lot of comics, but we have 14 between now and then. That's a lot.
yeah, because there's gonna be
Um,
29 in total,
yeah, that's we
which
found that
is
from our good buddy Ross,
thank
which
you,
I think we
Ross.
always coming through. But yeah, I
That's
feel like
why
I
we
could
that's why we call him always coming through Ross.
that's right, that we always call always coming through Ross. Wow. Um, I feel like I cut you off. You were making another point.
That's what I was gonna bring up is just like, yeah, from Ross we found out it's 29 issues and like I love like when a series just has a random like number of
Mhm.
issues, and it doesn't round out nicely to like a multiple of 4, 5, or 6. Like
Right.
29 is a prime number on its own. Like so,
Yeah. That's yeah. Yeah. We definitely talked about this last week because the prime number thing's coming back to me because you definitely would have mentioned that last week, I feel. But yeah,
I
it's
love
just
prime numbers.
I this is definitely a comic that I'm gonna be like stoked to go back and just read once it all is done. And I'm
Yeah,
like so happy to be like here along for the journey, you know?
yeah.
Yeah.
Now this is something too that like I'm not like an omnibus person. I'm not talking
Mhm.
about the app. I'm talking about like the actual physical book. But like if it ever the whole thing ever gets released in an omnibus, I think I'll probably get that, and that's when I'll like read through it again. But I'll probably watch for it to be available on like Comixology and whatnot. I don't know if I'll end up buying digitals or but the trades as they come out.
Yeah.
But
I would love for this to be a cartoon. Like,
yeah,
I don't want it to be a show. I don't feel it. I feel like that would take away a lot. Maybe. I don't know. I would love to see it in some sort of like televisual show.
yeah.
But anyways,
Um,
do you want to dive into the next bad thing? Or should I say, do you want to chow down on the next thing? Does that make
I
sense?
think let's chow down.
Let's chow down,
Chow
baby.
down on
Man,
rare flavors number 2.
wow. A spicy peppers on the cover getting eaten by our fun demon friend.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say Dormammu, but that's definitely not it. I can't remember his name.
He could be a Dormammu if he wanted to be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
why not?
But yeah, no, like that's something cool about this issue too, is like the first issue we didn't really know a whole lot about what, Ruben? Is that his name?
Yeah, Ruben is
Yeah.
the filmmaker, right?
No, that's Mo. Mo's the filmmaker.
Mo's the filmmaker?
Yeah.
Okay.
Um I believe I think that's right anyway.
You could
Um
be right. Again, like the names in this are kind of tricky, so
because we're
uh
really good. Everybody knows how good with names we are. So
yeah.
but yeah, so like the first issue is really cool because like you got to meet like Ruben for like the good parts of Ruben, like his love of food and just craft, and you got to see that like more artistic side of his character,
You're
just in
talking
like
about the
the
demon guy, right?
yeah,
Yeah, I'm
just
pretty sure his name's not Ruben. I'm pretty sure it's like
mhm,
Gargadudu something like it's a longer two-syllable. Well, I guess Ruben is 2 syllables. It's like it's a decent amount of letters. Um
yeah.
Anyways, I'll try to track it down. Um but yeah.
Well, anyways, I'm gonna stick with Ruben because I just feel like that's his name.
Okay.
Um,
We'll call him
but
Ruben.
but if it's not, apologies to everyone. Um,
Everyone in
but
the
like
entire world.
but like you kind of get a sense in issue 1 that like there's something about this guy that we're not being told.
Mhm.
And and like you have I have their names here. Dilshan and Dilkush are these like detectives that are like chasing after him, but
Yeah.
they're kind of painted more as like the antagonists. Like these seem like the bad guys, but they're really not. They're actually trying to do a good thing because supposedly Ruben is like this bad, like kind of demonic guy
Mm.
who doesn't really reveal all of the secrets of his ingredients. I'll say.
Now, is that what do you think that he is, like, putting people into like, so in, this, episode or, issue rather, we have the chef demon person, Ruben, we'll call him, make a meal for the guy who is filming a documentary about him. Do you think
Yeah.
that that food had human food bits in it?
Yeah, because they had a driver with them for a little bit, and the driver didn't come back. And I think that even the detectives said, like, we found your
Yeah,
driver in like pieces back in the
right.
woods.
See,
And
I was under the impression that he just ate them and then came back and made a separate food.
mm,
But I feel like you could be correct, and I just misinterpreted that, you know?
yeah, but that's kind of what I got from it. His name, and yes, his name is Ruben. It's Ruben Box
Interesting.
Baksh.
I think
Um,
that, I think that that's maybe what I was thinking of, the whole name.
But yeah, so I mean, if I had read the pub sum of issue 1, I would have known he's a demonic rakshasa.
Bakshura.
It starts with an R.
Oh
Rakshasa.
man, we are
Rakshasa.
definitely like we're swimming in an ocean we shouldn't be in right now. Uh,
um, but yeah, like I just with all that to say though, it's just like the character development of Ruben so far has been excellent, and then just this tagging along of Mo, the filmmaker, um, like him just not really being aware of who Ruben actually is, but just being like, oh, here's a guy who's like pretty much allowing me to go back into my dream of like making movies and all that, because that was something he wanted to do as a kid, but then he like lost his taste for it when he could never get anything big going. And
mm.
so here's this guy that's like, I'm going to pay for everything, like you're the guy that I want to do it. And so Mo's just kind of, you know, going along with it, and he seems to hate it a little bit, but he's doing it because the paycheck's going to be nice.
Yeah,
And
his heart definitely isn't in it. He's just kind of like going through the motions of it all and just like, "Yeah, I'm here, I'm doing this." Like he doesn't understand and like so this whole book is like the narration of it is in the form of like a letter that we actually see
yeah,
Ruben writing. And you're correct. His name is Ruben. I just want that on the record that I was wrong and Mark was correct that it is Ruben. Uh but I'm so good at
I mean,
you did, good job. But I think, like, when you try to, like, facilitate something, like, bigger than yourself and it's, like, a creative endeavor, you can sense when somebody's, like, because working, again, with, like, a band and, like, we're recording together, I can definitely feel when somebody's, like, heart isn't into the process, you know?
yeah.
And I'm sure that as a demon, you can probably have like higher senses and more aware of like this guy doesn't want to be here. I can sense that like he's hating this or whatever. But it is interesting that I don't I guess he's like just gonna try to get the guy to make the movie of him and then eat him. I guess that's his end goal.
But
Because
it
we do
keeps like
we do see
we
just
do,
hold on. We do
yeah,
see, like, clips of him, like, little, like, panels of them at the movie premiere. So I think that that's what this is working to.
yeah. But Ruben's seat is empty,
Right. Yeah.
so he's not there. But Mo's sitting there watching it, and so it's just like we're getting this little tease of like what's gonna happen to Ruben. Like, what are
Mhm.
Dilshan and Dilkush gonna like? Are they gonna actually uh, overcome him?
Are they gonna take him in? Are they gonna
Yeah,
take how do you arrest the
take
demon?
him down.
Take him down back to hell?
Yeah, but
Um
I don't know, man. I really enjoy it.
Mhm.
I love just like the talk of recipes throughout,
Oh,
and just like once they got to the field of the mythical pepper, like it was just
yeah.
like, man, like I can almost feel the heat like coming off the pages of these
Right.
peppers. And the art is fantastic. The art's Felipe Andrade.
I
Yeah.
think he just does the letters, Felipe Andre. I think Ram V does the art.
It
Or no,
says artist.
no. Yeah, you're right. Illustrated and colored. I'm all over the page being wrong tonight. But I do
Yeah.
love this. This is where you're just talking about where they roll up on
Yeah.
this. So each episode, each I keep saying episode instead of issue. So each issue is kind of based around like a food of some sort. The first one was chai. So through the issue, it showed like how to like make a good chai. And the narration of it kind of swings into like a cookbook rather than like the other like vocal or like written narration that we have. I'm trying to find the example of it. But yeah, like right here on these pages, you can see that like people are just talking, and then
Yeah.
in the background, they also have like parts where they're doing like a cookbook and showing you how to make it. So if I was like cookingly inclined at all, which isn't how you say it, I would definitely want to like try some of these out.
Cookingly inclined.
Yeah, that's the right way to say it, ain't?
uh yeah, no, like I love it. And yeah, Ram V is just he's going up my list, because I really, there's a few things I've read of his, but like the one that really comes to mind is Lila Star,
Mhm.
which was a fantastic series. And Rare Flavors just is continuing to like nurture my love of Ram V's work. And we had been recommended to, what was it called, like Green and Blue or something like that, to
Yep,
check that one out.
something like
Um,
that. I
but
definitely want to do it. Like, I definitely want to check out anything that he puts out because it's good. You know.
yeah, and I mean he's kind of all over the place with where he writes. He works for DC and Marvel at times, and yeah, he
Yeah.
puts out a lot of his own original stories through various smaller publishers. And
Yeah, I think that this is Boom, and so was Lila Starr. So good
yeah,
on. I love that combination. I'm a big fan. But
yeah,
are you ready to dive into the next one that we want to chit chat about together?
yeah. Let's get into it. A
Now
little.
you read this a couple weeks ago. I read this over the weekend. It is Swan Songs number 4.
Oh, and you got a variant.
I do. Yours
Yeah,
you said yours is tucked away. I can't remember what they would have looked like. I'll look it up. But Uh, how do you we talked a little bit backstage about this, and we both agreed that this wasn't our favorite, in the series,
yeah.
but I was fine. I think that's where I'm at, I was fine. It was fine.
Yeah, it was fine, and it still carries the theme of it being a swan song, because in this one you have a guy who really loves Mad Libs, and he's getting out of prison, and he's had a good stay in prison. He's friends with like the guard, and then he gets out of prison. The only people there to pick him up is his old crew, which contains his older brother who is wanting to plan a bank heist, and it kind of comes down to the choice of like, does the main character, whatever his name was,
Bobby.
that yeah, Bobby.
Yeah, the only reason I remember that is because I was listening to our last episode where we talked about this or something like that, where
Oh,
you read the pub sum for this, and I remember that they called him Bobby because I have a friend
okay,
called Bobby.
yeah, yeah. Bobby is always a good friend.
You gotta have
Um,
a friend named Bob or
but
Bobby.
yeah, like, so it kind of comes down to like, does he really want to go through this with this in the end, or does he want to like escape? Like, does he want to be loyal to where he comes from, or does he really want to break free? And I think it kind of left that open ended.
Yeah, it literally leaves it as like a choose your own ending.
Yeah, because
Because there is
you
like
get an ad lib at the end.
right. So through this whole comic, um, Bobby is working. He just has Mad Lib books, and so
Yeah.
at the bottom of some pages there'll be like the book that when he's leaving prison, the guard gives him. It's like the book is even called like very specific situation book or something
Hmm.
like that. And then at the bottom it'll have like very like he's just mad libbing about the current situation and how he feels. And then at
Yeah.
the end, it's left. Oh, do you still hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought my mic just cut off for some reason. Yeah, at the end, the last Mad Lib is left blank, and you get to
Yeah.
kind of decide, what you want to do with
You
that.
get to decide the fate of Bobby.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Um,
And I guess like for me, it just felt tonally like so different from everything else.
it did. It felt more like a bank heist story. Like,
Yeah.
that's like, it was a little, seemed a little like, it wasn't like like over the top action, but it just seemed like, oh, we're gonna get like action in this, and like we did in a previous one, but it like made sense to like how that story was going. And
Mhm.
this one it did tonally just feel kind of like aloof from, or adrift from the rest of them.
Maybe it's just, like, it wasn't, like, heartbreakingly sad, or, like, sad really at all. I didn't feel for this character,
Yeah.
because he didn't really display any real emotions, like, to the degree that I was like, "Is this guy, like, kind of unwell?" Like, because he couldn't really socialize, he had to use a book, you know what I mean?
Mhm. He kind of like reminded me of uh the main, like, gosh dang it, what's his name? Kid and Catcher in the Rye.
Oh, Colton Hopperfield? Holden Copperfield?
Hold it. Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
just kind of like, not in the way that he spoke or anything, but just his like mentality about the rest of the people around him, of just like, oh, they're
Mhm.
all just like a bunch of phonies.
Yeah, just
Like,
kind of like cold, aloofness. But I do
like,
think there was like some degree of like, I don't want to be participating in this anymore, but I don't know how to get out of it, which is just kind
yeah,
of how like people that live off of crime
But
That's
I mean,
kind of the
if
cycle
we
that
go,
they're stuck in.
yeah, if we go off of that though, like that is where like the sadness of the story is that like it is hard for some people to, in a sense, like get off the streets,
Yeah.
like to end that life because like it's not easy to
Yeah.
live
And
the
that is
American dream.
right, and that was, like, the underlining theme of, the comic that, like, what is the idea of free will, you know?
Yeah.
And, like, do you have free will when your circumstances, can only dictate that you can only do so much? And him in that moment, his free will was either go to jail or kill somebody to and, like, you get to decide, but again, it's not that for me, that's not really free. But all of the reason that he ended up where he is was all because of other people's decisions or his own, and
Yeah.
those were choices that he was able to make with his what you would call free will, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
um, anyways, I enjoyed it. I'm looking forward. I hope that whatever is next is just depressing. And I feel like the problem is that I feel like they've done like all the really sad stuff. The world has ended twice. There's been a
Mhm.
mom with cancer. There's been a divorce. There's not really much left that's really sad. That's not like dark. But I'm
Yeah.
not opposed to dark, as we'll talk about later. But anyways, buddy, do you want to get into some of the stuff that you want to spotlight, shout out, spotlight some stuff?
Yeah. Well, real quick too, just Swan Songs
Uh-oh.
looks like it's going to be 6 issues, so there's two
Okay.
more coming out, and I'm looking at the a variant cover for issue 6, and I'm wondering if there's going to be a tie-in to another W. Maxwell Prince series. I'm not
Oh,
gonna. I want people to go look at the covers and just see, but yeah, one of the variants has a character from one of his other series.
there you
So
go.
yeah, I am looking forward to those. But yeah, issue 4 was just, and I say this all the time, but like a lot of times for me in a series, an issue 2 or an issue 4 dips, and I would prefer that issue 4 is the one that dips rather than issue 2. So
Yeah,
it
that's
gives me
fair.
hope that 5 and 6 are going to be great stories.
Right.
But yeah, let's dive into some of our other reads for the week.
Yeah, you got like 3 that you wanted to shout out that you said to me. I got 2. So you go first, then me, then you, then me, then you, then me, then you, then me, then you. That's 5,
Yeah.
right?
So yeah, so something I was a little taken back by was my shop offered this one to me, and I don't know, I really like DC Black Label when I can get it.
Mhm.
And so my shop offered me this little guy up here, which is really a big guy.
That is a
But
big
it's
guy.
Batman the City of Madness.
Mm.
And I loved it because for one, like Two-Face is in it. Like I love Two-Face. The Mad Hatter's in it. I love the Mad Hatter. Um, and there's and then like the Court of Owls are involved in this, and I really I really love the Court of Owls. Like that came out of the New 52 back when they restarted everything back in like 2011 or whatever.
Mhm.
And like Batman was my favorite out of all the New 52, and I think a lot of people were on that boat as well.
Yeah.
And really just because like it started out with the Court of Owls, which offered this whole kind of like hierarchy, like underground like group that has always been like aware of Batman and who Batman is, and like almost seem to have like planned his existence
Mhm.
like into coming. And and so there's just this really cool like relationship between Batman and the Court of Owls, and then the Court of Owls has Talon, which is kind of like their anti-Batman character. But in this one, it turns out there's like another monster that they've been like holding on to that's escaped, and it's
Uh-oh.
known as the Batman Below.
Ooh.
And man, like if you can just okay, also I should say this, Christian Ward does this whole thing. He's the writer, he's the artist, he did the lettering, the coloring, he did all of it.
That's dope.
But like the cover's just freaking rad. And
It
like,
is I know. That's fantastic.
there's the Batman Below right there. The
Ah.
art inside. So Christian Ward did Bloodstained Teeth. Now,
Oh.
if you can remember the covers
Yeah.
for those and just the art inside, just fantastic. And the way that
Mm.
Two-Face is drawn in this, like it's just wonderful. Like it's
Mm.
just really, really poppy. I'm gonna pull it out
Okay.
because I really want you to see it.
Well, thank you. Wow.
Yeah, I
That
don't
is
do
a
this
big
often.
comic. Those I mean, I
It's
kind of like
huge.
it, but they're hard to, like, how do you store one of those? It's kind of like a demands its own spot kind of book, you know?
Yeah.
I only
Let me
have,
see.
like, 1 or 2 like that. I actually give them away to a couple of my friends because I'm like, "I don't know what to do with this. You can have this giant book because
But
a
yeah,
lot of them are
this
one
panel
shot.
right here of how Two-Face is drawn.
That's
Uh,
wild.
this one, like I love it. And then like the lettering is different depending on if good Harvey or bad Harvey is talking.
Mm.
Um, it's just the yeah. I just really enjoyed this. So I'm trying to see if there's another. There is definitely another panel of Two-Face in here. I just can't find it.
He looks like he's got, like, matte paint all over him, like, just,
Yeah.
like, fluorescent orange, but that's how it's looking like through, this
Oh yeah. So
webcast that we're
here,
doing.
like on this page, like up here
Mm.
you see him, or up here you see him talking as normal Harvey, and then down here,
Oh, yeah. It
and
switches and then the Batman has his is all dark too.
yeah.
Good speak.
So I really enjoyed it. I thank my shop for offering it to me, and I
Mm,
don't know how many issues it's going to be, but I'm probably going to continue with it because I enjoyed that story that much.
nice.
Um, but yeah, what else did you get into this week?
Well, I had the pleasure of finishing up, Pink Elephant,
Mm.
and we haven't had one of these in a hot minute, but I definitely wanna say that this bad boy is my
Banger of the week.
Heyo.
yeah, because it was like the perfect thing for this time of year. And I'm really happy that I read issues number 2 and 3 back to back. Because it was just, yeah, it was just terrifying. And like, not like I wasn't like genuinely scared, but it was just one of those comics where you just like, you just know that it's just going to end poorly. So you're not like, it's not so much holding on hope for people involved, but it's more of just how does this all go bad for everybody.
Yeah.
And just like the art is just fantastic. For those of you who don't remember the story, it's about 4 teens going off on like a college adventure, and they stop at the store on the way, and somebody steals like what they think are mints. Turns out to be acid, but it's acid that somehow summons this like this elephant man that comes, and like while you're tripping on acid, he's just shows up, and then he just looks kind of like that,
Ooh.
you know? Yeah. And it's terrifying. And then he kills you and all your friends. So and that I mean, the lady warned them, I did that whole bit about singing the song about how, he's gonna show up and kill all of your friends. But it was so good. It was from Sumerian. It was by E Pelikins. Pliskin. I definitely said that wrong. And the art is by Benson Chin. And I would love to get Benson Chin to just do something for me or to buy a print from them because it is, yeah, just fantastic art. But
Right on.
what else do you want to shout out? Spotlight shout out.
Something that I got into this last week, and it was spooky season, but Dracula #1 came out last week, and
That is
this is written
spooky.
by James Tinian the Fourth. The art's done by Martin Simmons.
I always
Uh,
forget that because you mentioned that when you first got it that it was by him, and that's got to be good. Tell me it's
yeah,
good.
no, it is. It's really good. Like it makes me want to go because it's based on well, it's the Bram Stoker story, and then it's also based on the first movie that was the Bram Stoker story that came out decades ago.
Mm,
But just reading Tinian's letter at the end, he was just talking about, I was like, like I thought I pulled myself away. Like I've said in public, like I'm never gonna do like a mainstream character again.
mm,
Because he's worked for Marvel, he's worked for DC.
right.
He's written for a lot of really great characters, and the stories that he wrote were all fantastic. Um, and he was just like, but when I got the option of doing Dracula, there was just something within me that just said I have to like go forward with this because
Mm,
he used to draw like Dracula as like a kid, and like
Cool.
it's just like he said, like, it's always been in my blood, like a love of Dracula. And so when I got the opportunity, because he had signed on to do like the monster universe, but he didn't know that Dracula was the one he was going to end up getting.
Mm,
And he just said, like, basically it was just perfect that it worked out that way. And so yeah, here I am doing another like mainline character, but I'm gonna try and do this in a way that people haven't like seen before, and like make it relevant and interesting again.
yeah.
It actually inspired me to pick up Dracula, the original story from Bram Stoker, because I've probably read almost a third of it once before, but I just
It's a
being
thick boy, if I remember correctly.
it's thick, and it's just like it's really hard for me to read like old, like not old English books, but like the old
Mhm.
style of writing English.
Yeah.
Like I've read Lord of the Rings, but it took me a lot longer than everyone else, just because like the way that the it was orchestrated, it was just really hard for me to like keep up with those words. And
Yeah. 100%.
but yeah, so I actually picked up the book and like read the first chapter the other day. Um, but
Nice.
now I'm excited about it. And I love vampires.
You
So
sure do. Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say this seems like a match made in heaven for you.
yeah.
Yeah.
And Tinian's been one of my favorite writers this last year or so. And so yeah, it was hard to say no to that one.
Can I segue off of the, match made in heaven comment?
Absolutely.
A match made in heaven is 100%, uh, Zack Snyder, Scott Snyder and Hayden Sherman, because they did another banger. It's not my banger of the week, but it is indeed a banger called Dark Spaces Dungeons. This has been my favorite Dark Spaces since they did the initial Dark Spaces
Yeah.
Wildfire. Um, and I just want to say this off the bat that this is like not for the faint of heart.
Ooh.
Uh, this comic is about people getting kidnapped and tortured and trying to find the person that does it, and it isn't fun. Like it's not like how Chicken Devil is like it's about a serial killer, but like it's a fun time.
Yeah.
This by the end of it, like I didn't feel good. I was like, oh, because it's one of those like I said this on my review on Instagram that like it gets you thinking about the things that like you don't want to be thinking about, like what could actually be happening out there. But the
Yeah.
writing is so good that I can't help but continue to like want to be engrossed in this story. Um, it's not much of a spoiler because it doesn't show anything, but this is the torture chamber that he keeps people in. This guy, and like he
Ooh.
just can move bricks and like just break bones and just kind of keep you in like certain positions for a long period of time. And
Oh.
that's just kind of how he kills you. Just leaves you there until he's done
So
with you.
of the dark spaces, this is probably the darkest space so far.
Oh yeah. And I kind of regret getting this cover. This is a good one, but there's another cover where I think it's from a panel in here where um the detective in this that is trying to take down the guy who's called the Keeper, he was the only person to ever escape him. So he
Hmm.
grew up to be, to track down these types of people who steal kids and all these horrible things. But I mean, yeah, if you're feeling bold and brave, I realize that all the comics that I shouted out this week are dark, and twisted. So if you're feeling like that, it is kind of again post that time, a little bit on the tail end of it, but treat yourself to it. They're
Yeah.
good comics. But
So
yeah, what's the last thing you got for us?
so the last thing I read this yesterday on Halloween. It felt appropriate, but it was American Psycho #1,
Oh,
and I don't think I put the artist's name, but he does. They are trying to capture the movie,
mm,
but they throw in kind of this extra story that kind of go like sidebars the main story. And the way that like the pub summary described it, it's like you get all of Bateman's like big hits, like you get his greatest hits, I think is how they said it.
mm,
But at the same time, there's this other story of this guy named Charlie. um
good old Charlie.
and Charlie is actually kind of like, I don't know, he seems kind of like a creeper. He gets his binoculars and goes on top of a building and like peers into other people's windows.
That's probably not great.
And so he sees one of Bateman's like murders.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just like, this is glorious, and like loves it. But he also seems like he might be a murderer as well, and we just haven't gotten to that yet. But I really like that spin that they put on it, where it's kind of like we're getting Bateman's story told through the eyes of another character who seems to follow him around. It's kind of how it portrayed it.
Interesting. So it's just a world of creepy people.
Yeah. And then like they do a really good job of capturing like Christian Bale's like image. Like it's not like super on point. Like I don't think everybody would look at it and be like, oh, it's Christian Bale, but it's like a good rendition of him. So the art's really good. I really like the story. I really wasn't sure I was going to feel about it just because it is an adaptation, but I love that they added some flavor to it.
Nice.
So
yeah,
I mean, probably stick with it because it is Sumerian. I don't get enough Sumerian. And I like to support all those smaller publishers as much as I can. So
I agree. But hey, friend,
they're like a medium.
Yeah,
publisher.
I mean, they don't put out a whole lot. I think they might be up there like higher in just terms of like stretch and like notoriety, but I don't think that they're like, a competitor. I would say Scout's more of a publisher than they are, really. Scout puts out a lot of stuff. But yeah, anyways, we're always rooting for Scout. But this horse is getting a little sleepy, and he's got to edit a podcast and make some thumbnails for our YouTube after this. I'm the horse this week.
Yeah, a horse is the hardest working animal on a farm.
I agree.
I don't know if that's true, but
I mean, yeah, because I'm in my head, I'm like, what else is on a farm? And my brain instantly went to lions and tigers. I'm like, those aren't farm animals. Yeah, and they also probably wouldn't work harder than a horse. I would agree with you that the horse is, and unless you would count the human, but is the human working harder than the horse? And is it hard work relative?
Also, like, there's dogs who help guide the sheep and the cattle and all that, and they work pretty hard.
They sure do.
So, but
hey, everyone should get a horse. I thought you said a horse is a dog. I mean, it kind of is. It's an outside dog. For some people, horses are dogs.
I mean, they both have long faces. Well, not all dogs have long faces.
Yeah, that's true. # not all dogs have long faces.
Yeah. It's a hot hashtag right now.
It's the hottest one going around. All right, where can people find us, and how do we thank them?
Well, yeah, thank everybody who tuned in, whether you were with us live or listening or watching later. We really appreciate it. So please make sure to like and subscribe and comment, leave a review if you can, and make sure to, just follow us everywhere we are, which you can find us at pullboxpals on Instagram and TikTok and Twitter. We mostly use Instagram. We try to use the other ones as much as we can, but we're just busy guys. Like our horses are always tired and ready to be strapped up next to the watering hole. And you can find me at Matt_nerdy, and you can find Monk at that Monk Guy 89. Both of those are on Instagram. And we love chatting comics with people. So message us, comment on anything we post, and we will most likely talk to you then.
I agree with you. It is really great to get in conversations. So bring them our way. But as I love to say, I haven't read comics like these in years. I got nothing. You got anything?
Nothing.
Nothing. Wow. I feel like we're letting him down a couple weeks ago. I was going to say that the reason that I got confused about the ghost name is because in that picture he has a different name, and that's what I thought his name was. Anyways, it's Ruben. It's Ruben. # not all